I'll go live on that. I'll go live on that. And we're ready to start the show in 3 minutes. A lot of people are, The key is, in this business, if you just be calm, do your thing, be calm. Don't panic, okay? Now, let's go to manual. Stop clicking auto. I'm gonna fade this. And I'm gonna do my disclaimer.
Expressed today on Black Focus Radio are not the views and opinions of the station, its management, or its advertisers. Now, let's get ready.
Hey, Paul. Hey, Sandy. How you doing?
Our solutions using our voices on Black Focus Radio.
Welcome to Black Focus, the show designed with our community in mind, where we focus on our issues, developing our solutions, using our voices. Central Arkansas, surrounding areas, and the nation. Get ready. Black Focus starts right now. Phone lines open at 855-525-5683.
Hey, Robert, we need you to do a 30-second promo for your show, okay? If you do it today, let me know and I'll plug it into the system. All right? All right, welcome. It's the Wednesday edition. It's Hump Day. What day is it? Hump Day. That's right. 855-525-5683 is the number. Welcome to Black Focus Radio, our issues, our solutions, our voices. You can call me up at 855-525-5683. I know I just gave you that number, but I gave it to you again because you never call. Well, sometimes you all call. Hey, LaTanya, how you doing? Alonzo, what's happening? Robert Craig, how you doing? Make sure you download the JoyNet Radio app. You do that by going out to joynetradio.com and clicking on your Perspective App Store. It's on the main page. Just go out to the website. Go out there, check it out. If you got an Apple, I'm sorry, but you can download the app for the iPhone. And then, of course, if you've got an Android, woohoo! Then you can download the app for the Android phone as well. I know I give Apple a bunch of crap because I think Apple, the most overpriced items in America are Apple devices. Okay? Let me just quickly tell y'all something. Y'all understand that the Apple devices are made out of the same stuff as the Android devices. Yet you pay 20 to 30 to 40% more for an Apple device. You get that, right? I'm just saying. And I know people say, well, I bought me an Apple computer because it doesn't get viruses. It does now. You know why Apple wasn't getting viruses early on in the computer business? It's because nobody had an Apple. No one cared about Apple. So they didn't write code or virus codes to hack Apples. But guess what? You get viruses now, don't you? So you're paying 20, 30, 40% more for a device that other devices will do. Because, it's kind of like buying a pair of fancy jeans. Well, I can't complain. You like to operate. LaTanya, just be quiet. That operation system sucks. Come on. Okay? But I was talking about jeans because I can't complain because, I don't wear a lot of jeans. I only wear one brand of jeans. I hear you, Jason. They don't hear me. I wear one pair of jeans. I have more than one pair of jeans, but I wear one brand. And those are Levi's 501s. Okay? So if you want to be snooty like I am, because all through high school, I didn't wear jeans. Back in the high school, we used to dress up and go to school. We used to wear ties, suits. We were some bad folks. All right? So, and back then, they had the fancy jeans. What were Calvin Klein's and Gloria Vanderbilt's and all that. The only pair of jeans that I've ever worn, the only brand that I've ever worn are Levi's 501s, the button fly. Okay? That's right, the ones that button in the front. They cost about $40 a pop. But you know why I buy them? because I got pairs of jeans that I've had for 15, 20 years. Okay? I'm not buying them because of the name. I'm buying them because of the quality. All right? Anyway, y'all don't want to hear about that. My jeans collection. I got some black ones. I got some gold ones. I got some blue ones. Didn't want any white ones. I'm just saying. 855. Welcome to the show, man. I'm having a good time. Our interns are in today. I've been teaching Radio 101 all morning long, and I am so happy to have Jemiah and Clayton. Jemiah is from Little Rock, McClellan, the Lions. Don't be upset because they're not from Central. Okay, they okay. I'll give them a pass. And then Clayton is from Parkview. I had to give him some. Y'all know we got to give them some grief, right? So they're going to be here for the next 6 weeks, helping me out with the show. I'm going to totally immerse them in radio. My goal is that once we're done, that they're going to rethink what they want to do, and they want to get in the radio business. But even if they don't, I want them to have a great experience, and there's no better way to learn more information about radio than to participate in talk radio, because it's more hands-on. So I'm going to have them booking guests. I'm also going to, as a matter of fact, if you're one of my potential guests and they call you, you'll know, and I will talk about that tomorrow. We'll get them starting to book guests before the end of the week ends, and end of the week ends. That's redundant. I apologize. So we'll get them booking guests and all of those things, and eventually, I haven't told them yet, but we're going to get them on the show. Okay? What? So eventually we're going to create a segment for them to do. And I don't know, since I so much enjoy doing Black Facts, I don't know if I'm going to let them do Black Facts. But we're going to figure out a segment that they will alternate in doing. Okay, and if y'all know I love talking to young people and helping young people out. So this is a big, big thrill to me. So I'm really thrilled about this. By the way, let me give you an update on Philadelphia. Okay, I told you all a couple of weeks ago that I was one of the things that I do. You all know I do motivational speaking, and I have a seminar called the Black Male and Female Teenage Survival Kit. And back in 2006, I did this event. I went to Philadelphia and did the seminar for about 100 young black males. Back then, it was just called the Black Male Teenage Survival Kit. So Dr. Doreen Lowry, who is over the Africana Studies Department at Arcadia University outside of Philadelphia, had invited me to come and speak to their kids. She called me about 2 months ago. And she said, Dave, I'm retiring. Dr. Lowry had been in the business she's been a professor for 36 years. She is a powerful sister. You know, I have a mentor on the East Coast, which is Dr. Lowry. And then I have another mentor on the West Coast, which is Dr. Rosie Milligan. Okay. And by the way, I'm going to have them to reach out to Dr. Lowry and have them to set up a time when we can get Dr. Lowry on a regular basis. We'll do that this week, as a matter of fact. You all know Dr. Milligan comes on every fourth Thursday on the show. By the way, we'll be talking about black male-female relationships with Dr. Milligan coming up this next week, and how we got in this mess. No, it's not about how you love somebody. It's about why you love somebody. It ain't about that. We're going to talk about how the dynamics of slavery affected black male-female relationships today, and how it continues to affect those relationships. So that's what we're going to talk about with Dr. Rosie Milligan next Thursday. Okay, the fourth Thursday. I believe next Thursday is the fourth Thursday. So we'll be talking to her. And if not, if that's the fourth, let me double check there because I think the 4th of July. No, that's right. It's the 28th. Yeah. So the 28th will be next week, and we'll talk about that with Dr. Rosen Milligan. We'll also get Dr. Lowry on to talk about her experiences with the Black Male Teenage Survival Kit. See, a lot of you all don't know that there are a lot of people out here who are doing a lot of great work for young black males. Okay? So we're going to talk about all of that. This show is slowly beginning to morph into more of an information show. I know I'm on the show a lot. Well, I'm on here every day and I run my mouth a lot. And I know sometimes you all get sick of hearing me. So what I like to do is, I guess you could say, highlight the things that I've already talked about by getting guests to come on to talk about those from a philosophical and a educational standpoint. All right. So we'll get them on as well. All right. So anyway, Dr. Lowry asked me to write a synopsis of my teenage survival kit. And it's going to be published hopefully next year by Third World Press out of Chicago by Haki Madhubuti. Now, if you don't know who Haki Madhubuti is, which is a name that we will be getting on the air, that you all will be contacting. If you don't know who that is, then you should go out and do some research. Periodically, you'll notice that I wear a shirt that has a picture of Africa on it, and the quote below that picture is from Haki Madhubuti. So his Third World Press is probably the preeminent black publisher in the country, who has published people like Dr. Ivan Van Sertima, who's published people like Dr. Naeem Akbar. It goes on and on and on. So they are in the line to publish this book. It's going to be 12 different synopses of black men and women who have put together programs that help young black males. And I'm honored to be part of that book. I don't know why they chose me. You know, who am I? I'm just a little black man. But certainly I'm honored to be part of that book. I have already completed my submission. She said, Dave, we want you in the book. I need it done by, I said, when you need it done? Okay, I'm done. So I got my submission in a week before the deadline. You think I'm playing? No, I ain't playing. So certainly honored to be participating in that. So I'll keep you up to date on those things that are going on and when the book comes out. I will be traveling to Los Angeles next April to Black Writers on Tour. If you are a writer and you want to go to Black Writers on Tour, you need to pay attention. We are going to try to put together a package that we all can go out and represent Arkansas, Little Rock proper. Then the next month, Mother's Day weekend, which is the weekend of my birthday, I will be traveling to Philadelphia to sign copies of the new book. So I'm thrilled, and more importantly, I'm happy that people are recognizing my work and the importance of how much I love young black people. You know, I love all young people, but young black people, man, and part of the reason I do this is because, see, I grew up without a dad. I didn't know my father. I don't know him today. But there were men who stood in his stead. I had preachers. I had teachers. I had scoutmasters. I had deacons in the church. All of those men who decided that, hey, David Coleman is going to make something out of himself and I need to make sure I help him. I want to thank you. So this is my way of giving back. When I go out and speak to young people, when I tutor young people, when I mentor young people, as I'm doing the two in the studio today, I get a thrill out of this more so than any other time, because I know that if it wasn't for those men who stood up for me, then I probably wouldn't be here today. All right. Oh, don't get mushy on me. Oh, let's stop the mushy stuff. Stop. All right. But I'll keep y'all posted on the book. All right. So we got a lot of stuff to talk about. Cliff, I know you are monitoring the reparations hearing. And when you get a chance, Cliff, I need you to call the show because I have not had a chance to listen to any of it this morning because I've been in here teaching radio. And usually I try, in fact, I may try to play a little bit this morning if we can. I'll go out and find it. But if you can, Cliff, I'd like for you to take a few notes and give me a call and let's talk a little bit about what's going on. But before we do anything else, y'all know before we start the show proper, then we got to get proper, okay? So let's get proper with Black Facts.
Dynamic Black Facts. Our culture, our history, our people.
All right, so in keeping with what is going on, and my theme for the last year, reparations. I've told you over and over again that if you have a presidential candidate who is running for president and he doesn't have a plan for reparations, he or she does not deserve your vote. Neither does that senator, neither does that United States representative, neither does your state senator, neither does your state representative, neither does your justice of the peace, neither does your mayor, anyone who is running for office. One of the questions that you ought to ask them is, what are your thoughts or plans on reparations? If they stutter, if they hesitate, if they have no plan, if they give you gobbledygook, you know what gobbledygook is, right? Where they try to pretend like they're answering the question, but they don't answer the question. Because you ought to have a plan. Then you shouldn't be voting for them. Okay? Right now in Washington, D.C., there's a reparations hearing going on. But I'm going to give you a black fact why reparations are not just in order, they are demanded. We want our checks. Okay? So the title of this one is How a Lie and a Gang of Rampaging White Men, I'm going to insert terrorist. How a gang of white terrorists destroyed an entire black community in 1923. As a matter of fact, this story was made into a movie. If you remember, Ving Rhames was the hero in this movie, or at least one of the heroes in this movie. Okay? It was called Rosewood. What started as an accusation from a white woman. Now, wait a minute. So how many times have we seen this? Over the decades where there has been a lie that was purported by a white woman. Remember yesterday we talked about John Crawford in Walmart when a white man called the police and told a lie, and that lie ended up getting John Crawford killed. There's a problem with some of these white folks. But anyway, let's restart this. What happened, what started as an accusation from a white woman from a nearby town of Sumner would become an escalated situation of retaliation and the eventual massacre of an entire community, as well as the complete destruction of Rosewood, an unincorporated black community in Levy County, Florida. Rosewood was a community built in 1845, 9 miles east of Cedar Key, near the Gulf of Mexico. Powered by the timber industry, the community was purely black populated, with the closest community around it housing white people. With 2 pencil mills nearby in Cedar Key, the existence of turpentine and sawmills in Sumner helped support local residents, as did farming and citrus and cotton. And with the growth that required further development, a post office as well as a train depot on the Florida Railroad in 1870 was built. But even with all of these things in place, Rosewood never actually got to be incorporated as a town. That aside, the people continued to live their peaceful and diligent lives until the new year of 1923, when things would spur out of control. And all it took was a lie. In January 1923, just around the period of the repeated lynching of black people around Florida, a white woman, Frances Fannie Taylor, a 22-year-old married to James Taylor, a 30-year-old mill worker employed by Comer and Sons in Sumner, accused a black man from the town of Rosewood of beating her and eventually raping her. From the accounts of what happened, Frances and her husband lived with 2 young children, and James was mostly at work from early in the mornings, described as meticulously clean and scrubbing her cedar floors with bleach so they shone white. Other women attested that Taylor was aloof. No one knew her very well. In other words, they said Taylor, this woman, was a little touched. Okay? That means her bread wasn't all the way baked. That means that the elevator didn't go all the way to the top floor. Y'all get that, right? Okay. On January 1st, 1923, the Taylor's neighbor reported that she heard a scream while it was still dark, grabbed her revolver, and ran next door to find Fannie bruised and beaten with scuff marks across the white floor. Taylor was screaming that someone needed to get her baby. According to her, a black man was in her house, who she said came through the back door and assaulted her. The neighbor found the baby, but no one else. Taylor's initial report stated that her assailant beat her about the face, but did not rape her. Rumors circulated, widely believed to be by the whites in Sumner, that she was both raped and robbed. It would emerge later, though, that she had lied. What? A white woman telling a lie? You gotta be kidding. Let me repeat that. It would emerge later that she had lied concerning what happened, as what did happen was that she was beaten by her lover while her husband was at work. In other words, her side piece whooped her ass. I'm putting that in today's vernacular, by the way. She decided to pick the more vulnerable black people of Rosewood to lay the blame on them to save herself the embarrassment. She might not have hoped that it would escalate, but upon hearing her lie and noting that in Florida at the time, the charge of rape of a white woman by a black was inflammatory, men from a Sumner community invaded the black community, lynching a number of black men. The black citizens had to defend themselves, and so they did. In their attempt against further attacks, several hundred white terrorists reorganized themselves, with many coming from all over upon hearing the news, combing the countryside in a hunt for black people to kill and to set fire into almost every structure in Rosewood. The blaze lasted for days, dying down on January 8th as the white men continued to pour kerosene on the buildings and churches while shooting anybody in sight or those who attempted to dare to stop them. Everything that ever existed in Rosewood was on the ground in ashes. It was a complete massacre. Those who survived, fearing for their lives, hid in the nearby swamps, while others sought refuge in the home of John Wright, a local white businessman. They were defenseless and powerless against the rampaging white men, white terrorists, but one man would defy the odds. Sylvester Carrier took up arms and did a brave thing by fighting against the men, killing 2 whites before he was taken out in a shootout. His bravery was short-lived, but it encouraged them. By the time the mob had dispersed, the town had been almost totally destroyed, with businesses, churches, and homes in ruins and burned to the ground. Surviving residents fled, with many settling down in nearby Gainesville or moving to cities in the north. Although state and local authorities were aware of the violence, they made no arrest for the massacre in Rosewood. A grand jury was convened in February 1923, but it found insufficient evidence to prosecute, and no one was charged with the crimes committed against black residents of Rosewood. Doesn't that sound like today? Although the surviving members of Rosewood went away and forgot about the town and all that happened there, in 1982, Gary Moore, a journalist from the St. Petersburg Times, resurrected the history of Rosewood through a series of articles that gained national attention. At that point, the living survivors of the massacre, most of them in their 80s and 90s, came forward, led by Rosewood descendant Arnett Doctor, and demanded restitution from Florida. The action led to the passing of the bill that awarded them $2 million and created an educational fund for descendants. The bill also called for an investigation into the matter to clarify the events which Moore took part in. Further awareness was created through John Singleton's 1997 film, Rosewood, which dramatized the events. And that's our Black Fact for today.
Keep listening to Black Focus Radio for more dynamic Black facts, our culture, our history, our people, on JourneyRadio.com.
So you still think we don't deserve reparations, huh? So that was Rosewood. And if you haven't, by the way, have you all seen that movie, Rosewood? You should go back and look at it. It is an excellent movie. All right? So the fascinating thing about this story is that no one talks about, we know about Rosewood, we know about Ocoee, Florida. Remember I told you all, and I'm talking to my interns, I'm talking to you all too. Have y'all ever heard the term gator bait? Gator bait. Okay. So you all have never heard the term, but it's a term that emanated out of Florida. Yes, they would throw people to gators, but there's a little more caveat to that. When black women would have babies, they would take the babies from the black women and they would set the babies on the shore where alligators were, and they would use the babies as bait to catch alligators. Did y'all know that? That's where the term gator bait comes from. Okay? In parts of Florida, by the way, you can go into some of the stores and they actually have images, little tokens where they show an alligator with a black baby in its mouth. Okay? So I'm saying this because I'm trying to educate you all, because see, there are some of you out there who don't believe that reparations are in order. See, I can give you story after story, as I've done for the last month, as to prove beyond a shadow of a doubt, presenting you prima facie evidence that reparations were in order. And here's the irony behind this. And this is what's those of you who think that racism is done, when you go back and you look at these stories, when you look at Ocoee, when you look at Tulsa, when you look at what happened right there in Elaine, Arkansas, all of these stories have a common thread. When you think about what happened to Emmett Till, when you think about what happened to John Carter right here in Little Rock on 9th and Broadway, all of these stories have a common thread. The common thread is that a white woman lied on a black man and caused hundreds to be killed, hundreds of black people to be killed based on a lie. Emmett Till was lied upon. Remember, we had Emmett Till's cousin on the show. The very person that was in the room when the white terrorists stormed Emmett Till's house, we had his cousin on this show about a year ago. Unfortunately, he has passed away now. He told us the story live and in living color what they did to Emmett. I've told you about Tulsa. I just told you about Rosewood. I've told you about Ocoee. We've talked over and over again about Elaine, Arkansas. We've talked about John Carter. Every one of them were initiated by the lie of a white woman. Y'all going out there and get y'all them white women. To me, ain't nothing like a sister. And that's all I want. That's all I ever want. Because I also told you the story that you know that 40% of the slave owners were white women. See, this is why I tell black women there's no such thing as joining their feminist movement. Their movement isn't about you. Their movement is about them equaling up to their white men. So you're running around saying you're a black feminist. Really? You, black woman, is on the same plane as me, black man. In fact, black women are more educated than black men. In fact, black women have more degrees in America than any other ethnic group. So how do you figure that black men are keeping you down? We're not. It's white supremacy that's keeping you down, that is making you think that you need to fight black men. I told you over and over again, look, during the Middle Passage, check this out. Our ancestors were captured on the west coast of Africa. They all were loaded in those ships, in the bows of those ships, like logs. So when you had to take a crap, you did it right there. When you had to pee, you did it right there. When you had to throw up from dysentery, you did it right there. When you died, you did it right there. When slave ship captains were discovered and started dumping black people overboard, black men and black women were thrown overboard. There are stories that shows that sharks used to follow the slave ships because they knew that they would get an easy meal because black bodies would be thrown overboard. So tell me again why you're a black feminist. Tell me again why you want to join a white movement that does nothing more than subjugate black people. Because if you go back and look, Gloria Steinem and those who started the women's movement, they knew that they had to get black women in their movement because white women didn't care. They knew the power of a black woman. So it's laughable when you run around and claim yourself a black feminist. What are you feminist for? Equal work for equal pay? Well, black men ain't keeping you from equal pay. So why are you hating black men? Think about that. You know, Arsenio Hall, you say things that make you go, what? So you don't think we need reparations, right? I hope you're watching the hearing. I can't wait to get home this evening to review it. Okay? I can't wait to get home to review it. But in the meantime, if you're wondering, I just gave you 4 or 5 different accounts of why reparations are needed. You know they've never found those 247 bodies that came up missing in Elaine, Arkansas. All of those black men, women, and children that were massacred. Even today, those bodies have never been found. Did y'all know that? Did you know that the bodies that were killed in Tulsa, they never found those bodies? Did y'all know that? In fact, in most of these massacres that took place, because they like to call them riots, because see, they like to call them riots because that suggests that black people were involved in those. No, these black people were simply defending their own. Give you a trivia question. Name the only state in the Union well, I should say, name the only place in the Union that the United States military has attacked. Name it. Do y'all know? Because you all understand that the United States military, under the Constitution of the United States, cannot be used against American citizens. Y'all understand that, right? So there's only one place. There are actually two places that were actually done this way. But the first place is the place where the United States military participated. And I'll even tell you who it was. It was the Air Force. The United States Air Force actually participated in a massacre. Do y'all know who that was? Do you know what city that was? It is the only place in America where the United States military has actually participated and killed American citizens. Tulsa, Oklahoma. As a matter of fact, the survivors of that massacre says that they recall a bright, fiery object being dropped from an Air Force plane and exploding on the town of Tulsa. Yeah, that's a trivia question for you. So the United States military, and by the way, not surprised because you know Woodrow Wilson, if I remember my presidents at the time, I believe Woodrow Wilson was the president of the United States at that time. I believe that's correct. That's right. Michelle Stewart knows that Black Wall Street was destroyed from the air. That was the United States Air Force who dropped a bomb, an incendiary device that exploded and destroyed the entire town. You all should know this. See, part of the reason that we are suffering is because we don't know our history. That's why I take it upon myself every day to talk about Black history. And notice, I don't talk about who was Martin Luther King, who was Malcolm X. I talk about history. Now, there's one other town that had an incendiary device dropped on it as well. And the irony is that it was in modern times. That place was Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and the move. Remember that? And by the way, they had a black mayor and a black police chief. And the black mayor the police chief was white. But Wilson Goode was a black mayor who condoned them dropping a bomb on an apartment complex that destroyed blocks of black people's homes. This happened in 1985, folks. In fact, they just celebrated the anniversary. I shouldn't say celebrated. They just commemorated the anniversary of the bombing of the MOVE complex. They lied and said those people had killed a police officer when that had not happened. It's ironic that every time, think about it. And the reason I'm talking about this is because think about what's happening every day in our communities. Every day in our communities, black children, black people are being killed by police, and police are lying and saying, oh, I thought he was going for a gun. Even though with our eyeballs, we can see that person had a cell phone. I'm totally confused that a police officer who works with a gun every day, who works with weapons every day, cannot recognize the difference between a gun and a cell phone. Even the people in California, the police in California, who killed the guy, the rapper who had went to sleep at a Taco Bell drive-thru, he was shot 55 times. They said, if you all don't know the backstory to this, they sat and watched him for over 30 minutes as he slept at this drive-thru. They watched him. They shined flashlights into the car. They knew what was in the car. They knew that the car was not in park, it was in drive. We don't know why the young man went to sleep. He could have been high. He could have been drunk. He could have been just tired. We don't know. But because he went to sleep at a drive-thru, he sure as hell didn't need to be killed by police. But as I said, and I watched that video over and over and over again, and you can find the video online, the one thing that I saw is that the young man, while asleep, took his right hand and reached to his left shoulder and began to scratch that shoulder. And the police opened up on him. Yet they said he was going for a gun. So even today, we have white terrorists dressed as police lying on killing black folks. It goes, hey, remember the guy in South Carolina who was killed because he was running away from the police? And it was just so happens that a good Samaritan was walking by and he filmed the cop shoot Walter Scott in the back. And then he began to plant fake evidence. And if it wasn't for a good Samaritan that was filming it on his cell phone, we would have believed that Walter Scott attacked that cop. Hello? What's the difference today in what police are doing in our communities than what they did back then? Well, there isn't none. Here's why. Because we have white people. I gave you the example of John Crawford yesterday, where the white guy, his last name was Ritchie, calls the police, says that there's a man in Walmart who has a weapon, and that man is pointing it at people, and he had also pointed that weapon at Ritchie, which in fact video evidence proves that that was a lie. But John Crawford is dead today. Hello? Because of a lie. But y'all think y'all free. Y'all think because y'all can go to their movie theaters. Y'all think because y'all can drink out of the same water fountain as them, because you can walk down you can't really walk down the street anymore as a black person because somebody might call the police on you. Do I need to give you evidence of that? Remember, the black guy was playing football in his front yard with his dog and his son, and the police just pulls up and says, "Hey, you got a warrant in Louisiana." Huh? Remember the black guy in Colorado who was picking up trash at his apartment, at the building that he owned, and the police came to him. Remember the sister who was at Harvard in the great room, the common room, who fell asleep, who had the police called on her. Do I need to go on and on and on? You all know these stories. There is no difference today in what is happening with black people and the racism that is being perpetrated upon them as it was that happened in the early 20s, the teens, and beginning. There is no difference, yet you all believe that there is. That's why I came up with that phrase, we march, we cry, we pray, we die. We march, we cry, we pray, we die. Because nothing changes. Nothing has changed. And marching is not going to solve the problem. Crying is not going to solve the problem. Praying is not going to solve the problem. Dying is not going to solve the problem. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again and expecting a different result. Don't get offended with me, my praying brothers and sisters. You know I'm telling the truth. Turning the other cheek does not solve a problem. It just gets the other cheek slapped. Hello? So you think we don't deserve reparations? These stories are horrific. And we're going to be booking Dr. Mitchell hopefully next week. I'll be sending him an email because, you know, that story in Elaine, you know, there was a movie made about Rosewood. We know about Ocoee. We know about Tulsa, but no one talks about Elaine. Because when I went to the seminar 2 weekends ago, as much as I know about Elaine, I was even more shocked. I knew that the bodies have never been found. The 247 black farmers, men, women, and children, their bodies have never been found. What I didn't know is that many people believe that it wasn't 247 people who were murdered. It was actually almost 800. Hello? Where are the bodies? So if you're black, if you're white and you call yourself my friend, then you got to support reparations. There's no parsing of whether or not reparations should be given. There's no, just because a black person get elected president, that's not reparations. In fact, that black president, Barack Obama, refused to even offer an official apology under the United States government to slavery. So what reparations are you talking about, Mitch McConnell? What reparations are you referring to, Mitch McConnell? In fact, I would argue that if we went back and did a historical search of your family tree, I would argue that your family has benefited from slavery. In fact, Mitch McConnell, you benefit right now. Didn't a ship owned by your wife's parents, wasn't there 90 kilos of cocaine on that ship, Mitch McConnell? And you're Speaker of the House. No, you're the head of the Senate. So you think we don't deserve reparations? Well, I'm going to tell you like this. You're a damn fool. Whether you're black or white. Every ethnic group in the history of America has been compensated to some extent as it relates to reparations. In fact, what you all don't know is at the beginning of the Emancipation Proclamation, when the slaves were set free, do you all know that they paid slave owners $300 per slave? Did y'all know that? They paid slave owners $300 per slave. So in other words, they said, oh, we're going to end slavery, but because you're losing human capital, we're going to pay you $300. Yet they gave the black people who were the human capital, they gave us nothing. Nothing. So from 1619 to 1863, I believe is when the Emancipation Proclamation was written. That's almost 250 years of free labor. And then you said, oh, y'all's free, but we're not going to give you any job training. We're not going to give you any restitution for the debt. Look, I'm not even talking, look, think about this. We're talking about the work. We're not even talking about the rape of innocent children, black girls, black boys. Because, yeah, they raped black boys too. They called it buck breaking. If you happen to be a black male during that time period and you got ornery, to prove to the other slaves on the plantation that you still under master's thumb, you know what they would do? They would tie that black male over a stump. They would chain him or tie him. Arms extended, legs extended. And then white slave owners in neighboring plantations would take time and rape him. Hello? That's what they called buck breaking. Hello? So again, I'm a little confused here. Why you would tend to believe that reparations were not in order, are not in order. Because, yeah, the Native Americans got done bad too. Thanks to Andrew Jackson. But they got reparations. Right now in Arkansas, we have decided that we're going to have a casino. I believe the Apaches are going to run that casino. Native Americans. Okay? Along with land that was set aside and many other things. Japanese Americans during World War II pushed into internment camps. Any Asian Americans were pushed into these internment camps. If you know Mr. Sulu, who played on Star Trek, as a child, he was in the internment camps. All of those Japanese got reparations because America had done them wrong. But black people who built this country, who labored for this country. Oh, I forgot the Jews. Y'all know the Jews that we went to World War II to fight Hitler for fascism. Y'all know them, right? Did you know that under Barack Obama set aside money for Jews? Now, why would we be paying Jews reparations? We didn't intern Jews. We didn't try to kill Jews. We went and liberated the Jewish community. Yet our tax dollars by Barack Obama were set aside to pay some descendants of Jews. How was that possible? Now, I'm not debating whether or not they deserved it or not. I believe they did. I'm just simply saying that we have prima facie evidence that every ethnic group in America has been awarded reparations based on the atrocities that America has committed against them, except black people. Remember yesterday I said that if I were testifying before this subcommittee, I would not even testify on my behalf. I would simply read stories like Rosewood. I would read about Okoye. I would read about Elaine. I would read about the 3 black women that were hung while pregnant. And one of them was 8 months pregnant, and they hung her upside down and cut her baby out, and the baby came out whimpering, and they stomped the baby to death. And then they riddled it with bullets, along with its mother. You see, I don't have to make up anything, because the horror that the United States committed against black people is enough. It's worse than someone writing a fictional novel. If you go back and you understand what these white plantation owners did to black people, you couldn't have written anything more horrific. And you say we don't deserve reparations. Wow. That's mind-boggling. And I ain't going for it. So if I do nothing else on this show, if I convince no one else, I'm hoping that someone out there who was sitting on the fence that was black understand that, yeah, you deserve reparations. Yeah, our ancestors fought and died for this country. You know, it's amazing that we went to war. Black people have fought. I remember writing an article early on about the first person to die in the American Revolution. Do you know who he was? Do you know he was a black man? Do you know? His name was Crispus Attucks. Documented as the first person to die in the American Revolution, and he was a black man who was standing up for liberty. Yeah, we fought in every war. Yeah, we get nothing. Even in World War I, think about it. The men who died in Elaine, Arkansas, those were World War I veterans who had went to Germany to fight fascism, only to come back to America and treated like second-class citizens and were massacred by the federal government. And the amazing thing about all of these stories, by the way, World War II, Korea, and Vietnam as well. But the amazing thing about all of these stories, because I haven't even talked about John Carter today, because see, when John Carter was being hung, when those black people were being massacred right here in Little Rock on 9th and Broadway, black people were calling the police department. They were begging the police for help. The police did not show up. The mayor kept the police from showing up. That's common to all of these stories that we've heard. That's common to all of the lynchings that we see, is that quite often that person was accused by a white woman of doing something rape, and quite often what happened is that they would be jailed, and somehow or another the jail doors would miraculously fly open, white terrorists would run into the jail, take that person out, and somewhere in the night, that person would be hung. You see, I understand why they couldn't convict anyone, because in most of these cases, the whole damn town was part of the problem. You think I'm lying, right? You think I'm lying? So you say, oh, no, man, the whole town? Really, Dave? Oh, man, you just exaggerating, really? Well, let me point you to a few pictures. I know all of you all have seen some of the pictures of black men or women being hung, right? You all have seen those pictures, right? You've seen them. What is the other thing that surrounds those pictures? And I use the adjective surround purposely. There are white people around those hangings. And what are those white people doing? They are smiling for the camera. So you got a black body, charred from being burned, hanging, and you got white people standing around smiling. So that's why no one in the town ever stood trial, because the whole damn town participated. (855) 525 5683. You still don't think we need reparations, huh? Alrighty. And I know some of y'all say, well, I wish he'd shut up. He always talk about reparations. I wish you'd fall down and hit your head and have an epiphany and wake the hell up. We got to take a break. It's the top of the hour. It's Dynamic Dave. I'm on a rant today. If you want to call up and add to the show, call me up at 855-525-5683. You can also hit me up on Facebook. I see y'all out there. We got to take the top of the hour break. When we return, we've got more of the show. It's our issues, our solutions, our voices on Black Focus Radio. Okay. So we get to see if our stop sets were updated. So let's remember to type in stop. It'll bring up all the stop sets. I know we edited 3. So let's see here.
Mitchell Funeral Home welcomes all of Arkadelphia and Arkansas in Clark County since 1966. At Mitchell Funeral Home, they understand that the funeral is a celebration of life and legacy, so the entire staff takes great pride in the caring, personal, and professional services they provide. Cremations, funeral planning, burial policy, life insurance, notary, and monument sales are just a few of the services they offer. Flexible packages are available as well. Mitchell Funeral Home appreciates the trust and confidence placed in them and will continue to enhance their services so as to serve you better. Call now. Get connected. 870-246-2611. That's 870-246-2611. Call, click, or come by. MitchellFuneralServices.com. Don't wait till we're needed. Call us now. Let's walk through this together. 870-246-2611. It's quality you can appreciate and service you can depend on at Mitchell Funeral Home.
Hi, I'm attorney Theodore Thompson from the Thompson Law.
I'm listening for the challenge here. So
legal matter. Whether it's criminal defense, bankruptcy, personal injury, or family law, I want to help you. I can be reached at 501
I know Jackie.
5095. Don't face your legal issues alone. You need an attorney whose primary objective is to provide you with the best legal representation. Our office address is 415 North McKinley, Suite 710 in Little Rock. I'm attorney Theodore Thompson, and I want to provide you with the best legal representation.
I'm so glad I found a Kick Above. It's like my very own personal training studio. A Kick Above removed the guesswork and intimidation and offered me a very supportive and structured environment specific to my personal goals. Kim Leverett and her certified personal trainers even offer nutritional guidelines for my personal workout. It's about me at a Kick Above. Call 501-868-8850 or go to akickabove.com. Now, what am I wearing tonight? Thanks to a Kick Above, I look marvelous.
Hi, this is Alvin from Habibi's 4217 East Broadway in North New
So
York.
that one sounds like it updated. Let's see this. We should have 30 seconds.
For more of it, give us a call, 501-663-1553 or 664-2992, or call our toll-free number, 1-877-HABIBI-1. Diapers, pull-ups, hospital beds, wheelchairs, Simply Fit, diabetic supplies, underpads, and more. Your durable medical supply center.
Guess who's on Joy
So,
Net Radio?
remember us putting that in? So it did
Coffee
update.
Conversations with Lakeisha. Coffee Conversations with Lakeisha is an interactive online daily devotional that rightly divides the Word of God. It's Kingdom, baby. Join us Monday through Friday at 5 a.m. Central Standard Time. That's weekday mornings, 5 a.m. at joynetradio.com.
The views and opinions expressed today.
Now, I didn't explain to you all about the disclaimer. Y'all know what a disclaimer is.
Its management or
So we
its
play this
advertisers.
every
Now,
hour
let's
on
get
the- on
ready
my-
to
on my
focus
live
on
show.
Our issues, our solutions,
So-
and our voices on Black Focus Radio.
That way, people will know that these are my views. This is not the station. Okay? And you'll notice, you'll hear that a lot on various stations. You know, it's just called a disclaimer. It's normal for them to play it.
Central Arkansas, surrounding areas, and the nation. Get ready. Black Focus starts right now. Phone lines open at 855-525-5683. So here's your host, David W. Coleman and Robert Webb.
All right, welcome back to the show. Robert Webb is still out. I believe he'll be back from Pebble Beach sometime this week. So we'll get an update on how his trip went at Pebble Beach. You know, I kind of envied him, but then I couldn't complain because I did end up going to Hawaii and staying for 2.5 weeks. So Hawaii, Pebble Beach, Hawaii. I beat you on that, Robert. Sorry. 855-525-5683. Welcome back to the second hour of Black Focus Radio. Our issues, our solutions, our voices. 855-525-5683. You can call me if you'd like to talk about some of the things that I talk about. Also, I really respect and appreciate all of you cats who respond to me via Facebook as well. I'm only going to touch on this because I have a I put a moratorium on Donald Trump. I try not to talk about him now we'll talk about him as we get closer to the election, but I'm to a point now where I just don't entertain stupidity and ignorance. And our president is, if I wasn't on the air, I'd call him something really bad. Okay? He's a stupid, and you can fill in the blank. Okay? We know that. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. But the reason I'm going to talk about him just for a couple of minutes here is because we've proven beyond a shadow of a doubt that Donald Trump is a racist. His father was a racist. Well, excuse me. His grandfather was a racist. His father was a racist and a member of the KKK. And you know what really amazed me is that the media would say, "Oh, well, he just went to a meeting." Wait a minute. If I go, let's pick a group. Let's see. I'm an ex-Boy Scout. So if I go to the Boy Scout meetings, I may not be a Boy Scout, but I probably condone what they do, right? And I'm sorry, Boy Scouts of America, for juxtaposing you with the KKK, the terrorist organization called the KKK. But I just wanted to use a simplistic example. So if I go to a meeting, and I go to that meeting on a regular basis, odds are that I'm probably condoning or participating in what's going on at that meeting, right? So if Donald Trump's dad was going to KKK meetings, then Donald Trump's dad was a KKK member. Now y'all can play semantics all you want. Homie don't play that. I'm going to call it the way I see it. So if Donald Trump, it's like I told you, if my parents are a racist and I grow up in a racist home, what are the odds of me being racist? Those odds are pretty high, right? That's like the guy yesterday, remember the guy who had his scholarship pulled from Harvard because at 16 he wrote racist stuff on his Twitter page, and now he's saying he's grown. No, you haven't. Your parents are racist. They've taught you to be racist, and you were bold enough to put it on social media, so you hadn't changed. You're a racist. And so is this president. So he was asked the other day, would he apologize to the Central Park Five? Many people are calling them the exonerated five. That's fine. He refuses. But is that a surprise to you? Because racists don't apologize for racist behavior. You know, Donald Trump took out a full-page ad. He wanted these young men executed. So that's part of the reason I'm against the death penalty. Even though you might know, look, that guy who killed those 3 women over in West Little Rock the other day, 2 days ago, you know, he probably needs to be put to death. But even in the most heinous of crimes, I'm against the death penalty because you know what? Jeffrey Dahmer didn't get put to death. Think about that. And it seems that only black people are the ones that are being put to death under the death penalty. People who are put to death are people who usually cannot afford an attorney. And if they can't afford a good attorney. And as we've watched the Innocence Project, as it has exonerated man after man after man, and some women, thanks to DNA, for crimes that they did not commit, how many men have been put to death under false pretenses? We'll never know. We'll never know. Your vice president, prior to him becoming vice president, was governor of Indiana. He refused to commute the sentence of a man who had been proven that he was innocent. By the way, that man was black. You see, if you say you believe in justice, if you say you believe in the Constitution of the United States, then certainly you must understand that justice needs to be afforded to everyone, no matter how poor they are, no matter how rich they are. But when it comes to black people, people of color, we know that is not the case. So when you have a president who claims to be the champion of the United States, who we know, well, I'm being facetious because we know he doesn't give a damn about the Constitution, who cannot even fix his mouth to say, I made a mistake, I apologize, then you know he's a piece of crap. We already knew. You know, it's like Donald Trump is at the bottom of an outhouse. And every time someone visits the outhouse, they pile on him. And y'all know what I'm talking about, right? You know what I'm piling on, right? Y'all know what an outhouse is, right? Okay. So Donald Trump is at the bottom of the outhouse, and on his head is all types of crap. Because that's what he stands for. He's a joke, man. He's a joke. Lederer and Fairstein, the prosecutors at the time, y'all deserve what you're getting. You've made millions of dollars in writing books. You've gotten jobs because you prosecuted 5 boys who were not involved in that crime. And what's scary to me, which should be scary to all of us, is that had not that person admitted that he did it, and then they tested the DNA, those boys would still be in jail. Those men now would still be in jail. You cannot tell me that a system is right when that system makes a mistake and there's no repercussions. You cannot tell me that we have prosecuting attorneys and district attorneys who simply build their reputation on putting people in jail as opposed to making sure that they're innocent and finding the right people. You can't tell me that. You just can't. So here we sit today with PLOTUS. You know, I call him PLOTUS. And those of you who don't know what PLOTUS stands for, it stands for the pathological liar of the United States. Donald Trump is a liar. Donald Trump is a piece of crap. That's what he is. And the sad thing about it, he's the president. 855-525-5683 is the number. We're expecting a call from Cliff May here in just a moment. He's been watching the reparations hearing, and he's going to give us a quick update on what went on during that hearing. I will get home this evening and watch as much as I can and give you an update tomorrow. As I said earlier, I could not watch the hearing because I was here with the interns because typically during the mornings, I would have watched that hearing. Since we're talking about reparations, you see, part of the reason that many of these white folks don't want reparations, particularly these governments, is because their government was party to some of these heinous events. See, that's why Asa Hutchinson won't issue an apology for the people of Elaine. That's why the city of Little Rock should, and I'm hoping that Frank Scott, if you're hearing my voice, that you will issue an official an apology for the family of John Carter. This has to be done, folks. This is a wound that is only crusted over with a scab. And every time you bump it, you knock some of that scab off and it starts bleeding again. And see, what has happened now is that you haven't knocked a piece of the scab off. You've knocked the entire scab off. And it's bleeding profusely. And it is not going away. It is not going away. Y'all understand that, right? We want and demand reparations. We want and demand an apology. And that's just the bottom line. 855-525-5683 is the number. We're going to go out to the phones. We've got Cliff May. Cliff is usually here on Wednesdays. I'm going to demote him to like the water boy. But Cliff watched the reparations hearing today. And unfortunately, I did not get to watch it. So, Cliff, can you give us a synopsis of what you heard today?
Yes. The hearing today was from the House Judiciary Subcommittee on the Constitution, Civil Rights, and Civil Liberties. And this particular resolution was led by Sheila Jackson Lee, who is a Democrat from Texas, and was also co-sponsored by a couple of representatives from her state. And which is surprising because Texas is generally very conservative. But they had a large number of people on their panel that they were asking questions about reparations in this context to why Congress should be the one to initiate any type of action. And so basically the hearing was not necessarily about instating reparations, but necessarily doing a study to determine the history of reparations, its impact, any type of secondary impact on African Americans as a result of slavery and Jim Crow laws and black codes and redlining and all those things. And then the last part of it was determining a possible resolution as far as reparations and looking at that in the future. So they had Cory Booker was one of the first panel members on there earlier on, and he kind of left partway through it. And then it ended up being Julian Malveaux, who was an economist, Katrina Brown, who was a white lady from Rhode Island, who produced and directed a documentary on slavery and the slave trade. He had Coleman Hughes, who's a writer for the Quillette, which is an online newspaper. And of course, she had Ta-Nehisi Coates, who's also another famed journalist. Then he had Reverend Eugene Sutton, who's the Episcopal Bishop up in Maryland. You had Professor Eric Miller, who is the professor of law at Loyola University in Los Angeles. And then you had Burgess Owens, who is a former NFL star, all on the panel today, of course, Danny Glover. And so Each of them were asked a series of questions by each member of the committee as to the impact of slavery and Jim Crow and Black codes and all the things that were experienced. They did also mention in depth the situations around towns like Rosewood and Black Wall Street in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And some of the possible resolutions that they were discussing was not necessarily money per se for survivors or descendants of slaves, but also working on policies that would narrow or close the wealth inequality gap between African Americans and white counterparts. And some of the other people have suggested creating more programs and development programs for the communities, making sure that there are more jobs and any policies moving forward that have any type of economic impact on society, making sure that it is not going to disenfranchise any type of African American communities in that affected area.
Well, first of all, I don't want your damn policies. Okay? Those policies are nothing more than a Trojan horse not to abide by anything, because quite often what happens is that if you create a policy by the government, then other people will begin to infiltrate on that policy, and black people will not get their just reward. I'm curious to find out what Cory Booker says, because Cory Booker was one of those black people who said that we don't need reparations. So I guess he's changing his tune.
I missed his segment, but I do believe he was speaking in favor of reparations when he had an opportunity. And then, of course, during one of the breaks, I guess he had to go, or his time was up, and so he was not there at the end. I was able to catch like the last hour and a half of it. It was a total of about 3 hours and 38 minutes.
Well, so did they come up with anything that they would do afterwards? What, in other words, what's the next step? Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be approved by the president. It has to be approved by both houses. But based on what Mitch McConnell said yesterday, it's not going to get approved by the Senate, because both houses can approve it and it can be veto proof. And even if the president doesn't sign it, it will still go into law. And we know that the pathological liar of the United States is not going to approve it because he's a racist. So.
You had Burgess Owens who kept trying to build around of conservatism by saying that, his family was a family that suffered from racism and things of that nature in the past, but he was able to pull himself up with bootstraps and was saying that the others should be able to do the same thing like he did, and kept referring back to identity politics and respectability politics. And then, of course, other members of the panel kept calling him out on that. And it kind of was a lot of shade being thrown on there at times.
So he was a token Negro to show up and defend the white slave master. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, him and another young guy by the name of Coleman Hughes, who's a writer for the Quillette, which is an online newspaper. He's only 23. He's a student at Columbia, and he kept saying that just because there was a racial disparity between in the wealth gap, that it didn't necessarily mean that there was there because of racism. And he kept referring back to examples of racial, or not racial, but I guess wealth gap disparities between different groups of white people.
Well, you know, it ain't nothing like coon dancing in public. Yeah, I'm just saying.
Black lady on there by the name of Julianne Malveaux, who's an economist, who's very
Oh yeah, I know. Dr. Malveaux has spoken eloquently. In fact, we've had her on the show as well. So yeah.
yes, she's one of the more outspoken ones who is very passionate about her stance and saying that yes, anytime you go through the history of America, and you're talking about reparations, you got to go back. And she was the one saying that if they go back and analyze the history, that you need to do a line by line item of the offenses against African Americans and determining a financial and social impact of that in order to accurately, depict what is owed or what is needing to be addressed in the possible reparations and whatever way that they decide to offer that out to everyone.
Well, all right, Cliff. Hey, thanks. Good reporting on your part. I'm looking forward to getting home and watching this the hearing myself. I'll do that tonight. I'll have a recap tomorrow. I don't know if you know, we have 2 new interns in the studio. Yeah, as a matter of fact, we're going to talk about Juneteenth today as well. So a lot of people are celebrating it today. And I understand. But here's what I need you to do. I gave you a list of people that we want as far as guests on the show. Can you forward that list to me somehow so that, because I'm going to have them because they're going to be with us for 6 weeks, and we're going to utilize them as much as possible to contact and make these contacts for potential guests. Okay. All right, man. Hey, good stuff as always, and I guess we'll see you next week. All right, man. You have a good day, and good reporting, by the way. Happy Juneteenth to you all as well. 855-525-5683 is the number. That's Cliff May. He's on the show every Wednesday. He drives all the way from Russellville most Wednesdays to come on the show. So really appreciate his support. And as he just said, I know many of you all celebrated Juneteenth this weekend. And that's fine. But Juneteenth is actually today. You understand that, right? Juneteenth is actually today. Because it was on June 19th, I believe 1865. It was almost 2.5 years after the Emancipation Proclamation that people in Texas got the word that they were free. Now, the argument is that many of them, the Union soldiers, could have told those black people that they were free, they were no longer slaves, but they didn't because they were buddies with the white plantation owners. And they wanted the white plantation owners to get out another crop on the backs of free labor. Reparations, baby. So today, many people across the country, many of my friends have taken off today to celebrate Juneteenth. I would argue, and I almost took off today myself, but I've got some other days that I'm going to take off, so I didn't. But I wanted to be in here today to make sure people understood that Juneteenth is actually June 19th. So there are a lot of black people around the country who have taken off. My boy in Nashville, Jason Hotep, he took off today. You ought to make it a national holiday, black folks. Don't wait till your job decide or your president to decide when a national holiday is. Juneteenth ought to be a national holiday for every black person. So you should be taking it off. 855-525-5683 is the number. There was another article that I want to touch upon because what bothers me. Oh, by the way, and we got to get, and we would definitely get Angela Davis on, but she's going to be here in Little Rock. The Social Justice Institute over at Philander Smith College. She will be in Little Rock, October 7th and 8th at the Robinson Conference Center. We will have her on. Yes, we will. Won't we, Miss Tamika Silverman Edwards? I know she hates it when I call her out like that. So we will have her on. By the way, one of you all need to set this up. I'll give you Tamika Silverman's number. She's over the Truth and Justice Institute. By the way, she is a person you need to get to know. She can open some doors for you, okay? And so we can make sure that we set this event up so she can be on the show. In fact, y'all won't be here, but we're going to get her on the show. I wish y'all could be here because you'd love to meet her. She is a civil rights icon. Y'all know who she is? Research. Google is a wonderful tool. Okay? So she will be here in Little Rock. She's a bad mama jama.
Angela Davis.
Angela Davis, exactly.
Oh, was she like a Black Panther?
Yes.
And she got arrested, right?
Well, many of them did, yeah. Okay. So she will be here in Little Rock. And I'm looking forward to that. Maybe when she comes to Little Rock, she'll shake up Little Rock. Little Rock needs to be shaken up. Okay? Because of all the racist things that have went on in this city, and none of the black folks that call themselves leaders have stood up and said anything about it. We need a mind-ectomy. You know, the term ectomy means that they remove something from you. So vasectomy, breastectomy, all of that stuff, that means they've taken something out. So we need a mind-ectomy. In other words, we need to take the mind that we have as black people, take it out, and reinsert a mind of black consciousness. So hopefully Angela Davis will do that.
She got a documentary on Netflix.
Mm-hmm. Hopefully she will do that. All right? It's important, folks. What's been going on with us, and here's an example. And I talked about this story last week. I want to show you how sick we are, okay? You all remember the story that I talked about last week about the mother of 4 in Mississippi who was murdered by the white cop, the black mother? Well, news has come out, and we talked about this last week, that she was having an affair with this white cop, a black woman. Okay? And not only was this woman having an affair with this white cop, who ended up shooting her in the back of the head, he had bought her a car. See, I told y'all, y'all think I was kidding. See, here's the thing about white males, is that, they look at black women as sex objects. They don't look at them as women, they look at them as sex objects. And even today, many of their white parents, their white fathers, when they have the talk with these young white males, you know what they tell them? Go and sleep with as many black women as you want. Just don't get any of them pregnant. Don't bring them to the house. And by the way, you're not a real man until you've slept with a black woman. That's what they say. That's what they tell their white sons. Yeah. That's what they tell them. So you might think that that white guy wants you because you're a woman. He wants you because his daddy done told him that you ain't a man until you done slept with a black woman. He wants you for your body. He don't want you for your mind. Hello? But this mother right here, she bought it hook, line, and sinker. No pun intended. Because not only was she sleeping with a white cop in Mississippi where we know how they treat black folks. Not only was she sleeping with a white cop, she was also going around espousing that black people are no good. Now, wait a minute. You black. You got black children. It's kind of like I tell black mothers that when you are running around your house saying that black men are no good and you have black children, how do you think that's going to affect your black children? If you have black men, a black boy, and you're saying black men are no good, then guess what? Your black boy may grow up thinking that, hey, my mama said black men are no good, so theoretically I'm no good. So I don't mind going out here and banging and slanging and killing because I'm really no good anyway. Hello? Children live what they learn. If you are a black woman and you're saying black men are no good, and you have a black daughter, well, guess what's going to happen? Your black daughter might grow up thinking that all black men are no good, and she'll start sleeping with white men. Or she might decide that, hey, I'd rather date a woman. Because I've told you, I make no bones about it. I'm not buying the argument that all of these people, all of a sudden that are gay, were born that way. I'm not buying that. Children live what they learn. So if I grow up in a household and all I see my mother doing, see, I told you when I raised my kids, if you offered my kids right now $1 million to tell you one woman that dad brought in the house, they couldn't get that money. Because dad wasn't going to be bringing women in and out of his house while his kids were there. That was by design. In fact, while I was in Hawaii with my son, we laughed about that. I said, Akili, do you know of any women that I dated while you were in my household? I said, nope. I couldn't tell you, Dad. My daughter would say the same thing. Because children live what they learn. I did not want my children, my son, thinking that it was okay to run women in and out of my house and sleep with multiple women. I just didn't want that happening. I didn't want my daughter to grow up thinking that, oh, daddy is all these women coming in this house. I can be like that woman. And I can run in and out of a man's house. Children live what they learn. Hello? So this black mother who had black children was espousing the fact that she hated black people. But wait a minute, if you black and you hate black people, I'm confused here. And you ended up losing your life to a white man because of that ignorance. Think about that. Now, y'all want to go and date interracial, that's your business. But you need to understand where that came from. And you go right ahead. I'm reminded of the post that was on Facebook a while back where the sister had dated this white guy. And while they would be making love, he slipped and called her a nigger. And had done it multiple times. And she was asking, should she divorce him? Is the Pope Catholic? Because subconsciously, that's what he's really thinking about you. I'm also reminded of the man who had married the white girl, and the white girl, and they had a daughter, and the white mother didn't want her daughter to have cornrows, an ethnic hairstyle, because it made her look black. This is some deep stuff, folks. It really is. We have to do a better job of educating. And my heart goes out to these 4 children of Miss Dominique Lachelle Clayton. I don't buy into the argument that every black woman that I've met has done me bad, so I'm going to go date someone else in another race. I hear that all the time. I don't buy into that argument. That person that you dated did you bad. I'm not going to pigeonhole every black woman, because I've had some bad black women in my life. Horrible. But I don't judge black women today based on who I dated, because after all, I did choose that woman at the time. It's kind of like I tell mothers, when you start talking about deadbeat dads or fathers who talk about deadbeat moms, here's the one thing: you chose them. That's some deep stuff right there, ain't it? So if you chose a deadbeat, what does that make you? They say birds of a feather flock together. They say when you lay down with dogs, you're going to get fleas. I'm just being real with you. 855-525-5683. The curious thing about this officer who killed Miss Clayton, there are a lot of white supremacists in Mississippi who are thrilled about this. Because, see, they don't want white people dating people of color. It goes back to that 2042 thing that I've been talking about for years, and now all of a sudden y'all are beginning to realize that what I was saying 3 years ago when I started this show, that I knew what the hell I was talking about. Because I've told you that the 2042 thing, where white people will be minorities in America, that's what they're concerned about. So they don't want white boys having babies by black women, because guess what? That baby is officially black. They don't want white women having babies by black boys, because guess what? That baby is officially black. Hello? Eventually, y'all are going to wake up. I just hope it's not too late. I just hope it's not too late. I hope you're not in chains. I hope you won't be one that said, I should have listened to that David Coleman. He was crazy, but I should have listened. He knew what he was talking about. He did his research. I hope it's not too late. You know, I want to applaud the NAACP of West Memphis, because the NAACP of West Memphis last week issued a statement saying black people of West Memphis need to arm themselves. Well, wee doggy. I've been saying that for years. In fact, I said it the other day. You need to get strapped. You need to make sure that you have a pistol and a rifle in your house. And your children need to know how to use a pistol and a rifle. Your daughter needs to know how to use a pistol and a rifle. Your son needs to know how to use a pistol and a rifle. Their kids do. That's why I love that webpage called the Survival Sisters. They're 2 young black women. Their father has taught them how to survive in a time of crisis. He's taught them how to build fire. He's taught them, remember I told you about the match? What would happen if I put Vaseline on the head of matches? Why would I do that? Well, the Vaseline will keep the head of the match dry. So when I'm ready to strike it, if it's raining or wet or in dire situations, I will have fire. This is what this brother is teaching his daughters. His brother's teaching them how to load, and they're not playing with just guns. They're using rifles. We all ought to be teaching our children survival techniques. You know, I go out and, we go camping. I just came back from Petty Jean. We're getting ready to go to Hot Springs to another camping trip. You know why we do that? Number one, because I love outdoors and I love nature. But number two, it reminds us. I remember when we went to the first one down in southeast Arkansas somewhere. I forgot the name of the place where we went. And we were outside shooting. So then we go up into this town, and it was amazing. We walk into the store. It was 6 burly black men. Look, I'm 250 pounds. I'm pretty thick. We walk into this store, this grocery store, and there are nothing but white people in the store. And every one of them turned as if they had seen ghosts. Here were 6 burly black men walking into their white store like we Billy Badasses, and we were. And they were stunned. And here's what the kicker was. We said, can y'all direct us to the ammunition department? We need to buy some ammo for our guns. One young man said, well, you know, the hardware store is the only place that sells ammo, and it's across the street. I wish you all could have seen your faces, their faces. So then we walk into the hardware store, and the same reaction. And the first thing we say, where's the ammo counter? We need to buy some ammo. Then we went to a liquor store because we wanted to buy beer because we were out of adult beverages. And the white guy at the counter said, where y'all from? He looked at us like, well, wait a minute, there's 6 black guys. They big. They are afraid of us. That's why they shoot us down in the street, because they are afraid of us. They're afraid of us now, and they're afraid of us in the future. And they're afraid that what will happen is that when they become minorities in America, which will happen in 2042, let's see, you all are 17, right? So let's see, 2042, we're about 12, 13 years away. So you all will be 30 years old. Did you know that in 2042 that you will no longer be a minority in America? Did y'all know that? So you're listening. You will no longer be a minority in America. And that's what white people are scared to death of. That's why we don't want any abortions because we need our black women, our white women having babies. Well, that's why I said if you are black and you can afford them, have as many babies as you can. If you can have 10 of them, have 10 of them. Have as many babies as you can, black women. Because we want to hurry up. I'd like for y'all to start having babies like right now. If you are in baby making age, have a baby like today. Because maybe I won't have to wait to 2042 because I might be dead by then. I want to see this. Because see, all of my life I've lived under racism and prejudice. But I also like to remind you all that stop referring to yourself as a minority. I'm not a minority. I've said this before and I keep saying it, that the reason I'm not a minority is because what? I look at myself from a world point of view. See, that's what happens when you read, you begin to understand how you fit in the world, not how you fit in a country or a state or a city or a neighborhood. I look at myself from a world point of view. And I understand that 3/4 the people of this world are people of color. 1/4 of the people of this world are white. Now, how the hell are you calling me a minority? Think about that. See, that's a psychological ploy to keep you subservient. See, because if you continue to look at yourself from an American standpoint, yeah, you're going to think you're a minority and you will act as such. But the reason I walk around like I have diamond mines pumping in my veins is because I look at myself from a world point of view. I am not a minority. When I look at the world, I'm a majority. And if black people could simply get that concept, man, we could change overnight, because part of the reason we do what we do is because we think that we are nobody. Part of the reasons young black males kill one another is because he doesn't respect that other young black male as a person. He's a nigger. What is a nigger? That's what white people define you as. Yet you live every day referring to yourself as such. Many of you. So guess what? When I see one of them, I don't mind killing him. Because he's a nigger. And white people don't mind killing you either. But you get upset when they kill you. Well, you really don't get upset. You fuss. And, well, here's what you do. You march, you cry, you pray, you die. But you don't do anything. I get tired of, I saw a story the other day. It was from Sephora. It's a fancy store. And this girl complained about the people followed her around this store and accused her of stealing. When they realized that she hadn't stolen anything, the manager came out and gave her 15% off of what her purchase was. She gets on Facebook and she's whining about what happened. First thing I asked was, did you leave that merchandise in the store? Did you take your money and go home? No, she didn't. So that store racially profiled her, said she was a thief, embarrassed her. The manager said, oh, it was a mistake. I'm going to give you 15% off. And you said that was okay? So you still gave them your money. So you know what? I wish I knew that girl, because you know what I'd do? I'd walk up and slap her and say, I need $25 for slapping you. That sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? But that's what that store did. The store slapped her, said you were a thief, and you still gave them your money. See, when you break white supremacy, you begin to understand that, hey, we're not going to take that anymore. So, okay, you're going to say that I was stealing, so I won't go back to your store. I saw another video the other day where this sister was in an Arab store. I told you, and I tell you all the time, that black people are the only people that boycott their own businesses. We're the only people that boycott our own businesses. But we'll take our money to Arabs. We'll take our money to Latinos. We'll take our money to whites. We'll take our money to Asians. But those people don't shop at black businesses. So check this out. Black people boycott our businesses. Asians, Latinos, white people, and Arabs. And they'll treat us like crap. And we'll break our neck to try to buy from those stores. Walmart right now is trying to destroy the Little Rock public school system. In fact, they've been pretty successful at the behest of Asa Hutchinson, the governor of the state. They have destroyed the public school system in Little Rock. But I bet y'all are still shopping at Walmart, aren't you? So what you're saying is that, hey, they can do anything they want to us, but we still gonna give them their money. Yet a friend of mine posted yesterday that black people are the only ones that when you approach a black business, you want a discount. I was so glad when I was at Juneteenth celebration on Saturday that nobody black walked up to my table and said, hey, can I get a discount on your products? I was worried about that. That didn't happen. Usually it does. But maybe it was the way I looked. No, I'm not going to ask this brother for a discount. But you won't go into a black business and ask for a white business and ask for a discount. This brother has a lawn company. He cuts lawns for big companies. He cuts lawns for white companies and black companies. And he made a big post saying that he's so tired of black folks asking for a discount when you won't go into a white business and ask for a discount. I've seen the enemy, and it is we. The only way we're going to solve our problems is that we got to support one another. If I tell you that my rib juice is $6 a bottle, don't tell me where Heinz or Hunt's sells barbecue sauce for 79 cents. You know what? I don't give a damn. Because number one, my product is all natural. My product doesn't have preservatives in it. My product doesn't have high fructose corn syrup in it. What makes my product sweet is raw honey. It's good for you. That's why it's $6 a bottle. And at Juneteenth, I was even selling it for $5 a bottle. In fact, all of the products that I sell have no preservatives whatsoever. They're basically powders. They're basically spices. It cost me extra to buy those products, but I also wanted to put out a good product for the people that bought my product. So don't come up to me and ask me for a discount. I know what it takes to put that product together. I know the man hours it takes. I know the products and the cost that I have to kick out. And I know what I need to make a profit, the upsell. So you're going to come and ask me to sell my product for 79 cents or 99 cents or $1.29. Ain't going to happen. So I'm proud that you all didn't do that to me on Saturday. I really am. Whew. I was going to talk about the black doctor who killed 100 children. And just quickly, I'll say this about this. I'm tired of white folks adopting black children. Hello. Some of them are successful. But y'all remember the lady from Portland, Oregon, who adopted 6 black children, who then drove into the ocean and killed all 6 of them? Remember Charlize Theron, who adopted the black boy and said that the black boy said he wanted to be a girl at age 3, and now she dresses this boy as a girl? A kid age 3 doesn't know anything about their sexuality. You have to teach them. But part of the reason that's happening is, guess what? We as black people don't adopt. But this doctor went over to Africa and she claimed that she had a clinic. And she would take the kids out of the black hospitals and take them to her clinic. And now reports are that she let over 100 of them die. That's a unique way to commit genocide, isn't it? Oh, pretend you have a hospital and you're trying to help them, but you're really killing them. Where have we seen that? Well, that would never happen in America, would it? Do I need to say the Tuskegee experiment? Do y'all know what the Tuskegee experiment is? Okay, let me tell you quickly what the Tuskegee, and I'm talking to my guests, but I'm also talking to my interns as well. Those of you who don't know, the Tuskegee experiment was in the early 1920s, where they would inject syphilis into black men, pretending that it was a vaccination. And then they would have those black men to go home to their families and their wives. And they would have intercourse with their wives and infect their wives with syphilis. This was condoned by the government. Hello? This is part of the reason black men don't trust doctors. You didn't know that, did you? This is history, darling. I told you, y'all gonna learn a lot these 6 weeks. Oh man, look, time is out of here. We got to get out of here, man. I hope y'all enjoyed the show. We'll be back tomorrow. In fact, I've got to rush out of here. I've got a doctor's appointment at 2:30, and I've got to go all the way across town. So I got to make like water and flow. I got to make like leaves and make like a tree and leave. Y'all get that right. Hope y'all enjoyed the show. My interns really think I'm crazy. They're going to think I'm crazier before this is over with. We'll be back tomorrow. You're listening to Black Focus Radio on joynetradio.com. All right, see y'all later. Appreciate y'all joining the show.
Our issues.
See y'all tomorrow. Tomorrow, we'll talk about some of the things that I had y'all to look for, but I need y'all to start looking for some black facts. You know, you don't have just get some subjects, some titles. Because I'm probably going to have you all to do a black fact, and you all to alternate each day. Okay? All right? All righty. Appreciate it. See y'all later.